So you know what, Rob? Since we're gonna get you out here a little early again, we'll hold off on the stretcher match. We're gonna hold off on the stretcher match here, but we will take a few Ask RVDs. So
Cool.
I credit a wrestling historian for kind of helping curate some of these. But here we go. We'll start with this one. Jason Bayless says, according to Taker, Rob was originally his scheduled opponent for WrestleMania 18 had he not wanted to work with Rick. I was wondering, did Rob ever hear that, and what kind of match do you think he and Taker could have delivered at WrestleMania? Did you ever hear anything about that, Rob?
I don't recall ever hearing that. If I had, then, I just let it,
Mm-hmm.
But I did wrestle him a lot. And we had good matches. We had a lot of cage matches too. For some reason, we went on the road, and it felt very much like two veterans being in the ring. Didn't need to even see each other before the match. Just it was like easy, comfortable being in there. Without having to think about anything, except for just being in the moment and stuff. So it was cool, but I don't think I did too well in the win-loss department against Taker.
Who does against Taker though half the time, Brock Lesnar's the only one that kind of fucking have his number. So what do you think about that the streak ending? Has anybody ever asked you about that, the streak, that kind of coming into play? Would you let his legacy kind of live on, or would you have been like, let him pass it on to somebody else in a certain way?
I thought that it was cool. I mean, it's a wrestling storyline. Brock Lesnar is, in my opinion, one of the most outstanding individuals to be in the industry. The fact that he could be the UFC champion at the same time and legitimately brag about being the toughest guy in the world because he sat in that seat. That was so good for the business, and he's so good for the business. He's what a pro wrestler should be. He's a great amateur wrestler that went pro because he was so damn good. So hey, why not? Who else? Who else is going to beat Undertaker? But I was there at WrestleMania when it happened, and I was shocked at the shock. I couldn't believe how all the boys were putting that over, and they all turned into little kids in my mind. I'm like, why do they care so much? I'm disconnected from that fandom heart, for better or worse. And so I couldn't believe it. I'm looking at I'm in the back in the press box or whatever with all the boys, and they're all going, what? And I was like, are you being serious right now? That's how I felt. It was strange for me.
Well, you know what though, Brock at that moment in time, he was pretty cooled off. Like people expected him when he came back and stuff. He was intense because he destroyed Cena, all that stuff. But I remember at the time being like, I was like, Brock's gonna lose, and like it's just another fill gap for Taker and stuff like that. So it's like that really put him back on the map as like this fucking world beater that he is. So to that point, he's like carried that on and carried WWE on as like one of the top guys. And like he's like Nash said this on his previous podcast. He's a unicorn in wrestling. It's just like
that was a good investment. It was a good investment.
Very good investment. Yeah.